House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
All right, we're back on the show, everybody, and back in her very familiar seat is our dear friend Gina Campos. Gina, we missed you the last couple of weeks here on House to Home.
I missed you guys too.
Well, dutifully filling in was our friend attorney Mickey Flynn, who Liz and I have wonderful conversations with him about estate planning and everything. So I kind of wanted to maybe flip the coin now and maybe say, let's take a look at from the perspective of the glass being half empty. And sometimes, when it comes to estate planning and trying to divvy up property and everything like that, how should I say this? It can very often not be an easy process, right? You guys are the experts. Why am I just mumble? I'm all tongue-tied and everything like that, but it's not always roses and champagne, right?
No, it could be difficult, right, Liz?
Yep. What did you put it, Gina? The ugly what?
The ugly elephant in the room.
Yep.
Okay, so on behalf of all pachyderms out there, why is this elephant so particularly ugly?
It's a difficult conversation, Jace.
Is it because not all property gets truly divided equally?
Sometimes you don't have enough to divide equally. And that's the thing, what Liz and I suggest is before you get to the attorney, you have to have that difficult conversation. I'll share with you just my story. So my parents owned a home and there's 7 of us. And my mom just could not decide. I mean, she never at any point wanted to give it to each and every one of us, right? There wasn't 7 of us that she wanted to give it to. But
my dad was the oldest of 10. Huh.
Well, and every parent has a different way of looking at this, but with my mom, there was like 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how good we were that particular year, that she may like waver. Okay, I want to give it to this person, that person, that. But she had one, my parents had one home. And some families have 1 or 2 pieces of property, but perhaps 3 or 4 kids. And I had told my mom, you can't give it to all of us, because my dad passed on first. So it was really up to my mom at that point. And I told her, you can't give it to all 7 of us. And she said, why? I mean, she knew why, but that was the question. I said, as adults, I can't see us all living there together. We'll kill each other. There's no such thing as each of us sharing it, every 6 months? I said, Mom, pick a person.
Thanksgiving dinners at your house must have been a hoot.
And I couldn't even see her giving it to 2 people either, because which of us 2 will live there together? The logical thing would be, if you want to share this one piece of property with everyone, sell it, split the money. There's no fighting. And if you don't want to do that, then pick a person but make sure those people talk, right, Liz?
Yeah.
Gotta work.
Yeah, we've had different cases. I was fortunate that out of 11 kids, each of us got a piece of property, but we got it before anything happened. So we've had cases where a mother came in with all her kids and she was deeding the one house, as Gina puts it, to all 5 of them. So she eventually passed, but my question to her is, what is your intent? So her intent was to deed it to all 5. Now, the problem there is if one wants to dominate and keep the house where the others, need the money, for example, then the one party should purchase out the shares of the remaining 4. That's not easy. And sometimes they don't have the monies. So all 5 parties are stuck together. I had one individual that there were 2 parties that owned the house. So the one individual purchased the ownership, so they quit claim deed their interest to the one party. So it gets really complicated. So these are things you have to think through, because you could be stuck and you want monies because you need it and you want to liquidate, but the other party is being unreasonable. So as Gina puts it, these are hard decisions, and the ugly elephant in the room, you have to really think everything through. I mean, it's not an easy decision to make. I mean, I think both Gina and I have worked on our trust, and it took John a while to analyze all the different things that we had and how we want it distributed. So a trust is one way, at least, so that if something happens to you, the trust will dictate how the property will be distributed.
Okay,
So
I do have a question, and this, I guess, this kind of like dovetails off of what we were talking about like last week. And again, neither of you are attorneys, and we're not giving legal advice here on this show. However, I was curious about like when you put down on paper how you want your properties to be carried out in the event that you become incapacitated, you pass away, or you're just not able to make like sound decisions anymore, right? Is there a way where you could actually have your property be distributed based on a condition, like say, you know, I have a bunch of children and I would like my property to be divided equally, provided none of them go bankrupt, none of them are in jail, get convicted of felonies, like anything like that? Like, are there?
So Jace, if you
It sounds like
do
almost
that-
like a reward in that sense, not being bequeathed.
well, if you do something like that, that almost sounds like a will. Once you have a will in place, you have to go to court, pay for probate,
Okay.
and then you have to pay those fees and wait for the court to hear it all out and distribute the property. But you won't get the distribution until you pay all those fees. And what Liz is talking about is she's talking about doing a trust. Well, you know, I mean, that is really the safest mechanism if you do it well and your attorney puts it together in good order. The issue is it also costs money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And like with my parents, they only had a home, or I can see Liz's mom, maybe she would have wanted to do it. She sounded like she had enough to pass on. She had enough properties to pass it on to 11 kids. That's a substantial amount of property. So I can see that happening. But I think with Liz's mom, she was around and she made the decision. She didn't have to wait for the trust to be established. She did it, gave it, end of story, right? She was alive. She's alive and she dictated what she wanted to do. But we also have a lot of families. We have a lot of parents and just families in general who they don't want to make that decision right now while they're living.
It's hard to address your mortality. Every human being does not want to actually have to talk about that. My dad never wanted to talk about that, for example. And I would say maybe also maybe what you're touching on indirectly is generationally, like, you know, Liz, you shared you have you're of one of 11 siblings and everything. If each of you and your brothers and sisters have a large number of children too, as you know, as generations go on, that property becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, because if they want to distribute it to their kids, and then it gets really tough, I would imagine.
yeah, it really gets complicated. And I think the point Gina and I are trying to make is make the decisions now. And if possible, they may want to deed, as Mick Flynn pointed out, there's different steps. One of them is the giveaway. Who do you want to give it to? And you may want to handle it before anything happens to you. So if you deeded, we've had people who did a life estate where they would deed it to their kids or to their one child, but that they live in it until their death, and then it automatically reverts to the child. So again, emphasizing, start thinking about it now. And if you want to start giving property away to avoid complication, you know, you make the hard decisions right now, because we never know what tomorrow brings.
And this seems to be the underlying subtext of this discussion is, you know, there are tough decisions that have to be made, but it's one of those things that you got to do if you're going to do it right.
Right.
Yeah.
And consult an attorney to assist you in the process.
You don't got to love it. You just got to do it.
Yeah. And with Gina and I, we're talking about all the different scenarios we have seen to the people that come and see us. Many of them may be complicated. Many of them could be simply, you know, what is the solution to this problem? And many times it's liquidating so that all the parties get what they want from the property.
And you know, Jace, it is a tough decision to make right now, but it is more, it gets tougher. Like once I pass, if I didn't make those decisions, it becomes a tougher issue and it will cost your family more money to get them settled at that point. So we're just encouraging that you go see your attorney to do the estate planning, whatever that is. But before you get there, you need to discuss exactly what you're going to do. So, and that's what we're hoping for, is that you guys could start having discussions about your real estate.
All right. Well, have those discussions, everybody. Okay, Liz, final word. We got to go.
Right. So if it's just a simple estate and maybe 1 or 2 pieces of property, you may not have to go to an attorney. You just go to the escrow company, and it's a matter of quit claiming your interest to the property to your child. So there are different options out there. You're not tied to one, but the point we're making is start thinking it through, asking questions, and to resolve whatever issues you have at this point, so that it's not going to be as complicated.
Well,
later.
The rule is true in real estate. It isn't as it is in life sometimes. The worst decision you can make is not to make any decision at all. So, ladies, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, that's our show for Health, Home, and Lifestyle, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Yes, ma'am.
No, I was thinking that we could get Kim next show to talk about what documentation is needed in order to record the ownership.
We'll absolutely have her back. Okay, that's coming up next week. Bye, everybody.